Ranking the best Stoic philosophy books of all time. I set myself a pretty huge challenge: to read and rank the greatest Stoic philosophy books ever written. My initial goal felt simple enough. I wanted to find the single most life-changing book in the entire Stoic library. I was looking for a definitive guide, that one text that could help me navigate the chaos of modern life. But this journey turned into something much more complicated. It forced me to rethink what wisdom even means, to take apart my own beliefs, and it led me to a surprising number one that honestly changed everything. In this video, we're counting them down, from modern introductions to the ancient titans themselves, and I promise you, the book that takes the top spot isn't what you're expecting. Or, more accurately, the reason it takes the top spot isn't what you think. So, if you've ever felt overwhelmed, anxious, or just plain reactive, and wondered if there's a better way to live, an antidote to the noise of the 21st century, then you're in the right place. Let's get into the countdown. The countdown begins. Number 7. Lessons in Stoicism by John Sellars. Coming in at number 7 is the perfect place to start for anyone who's curious about Stoicism, but maybe a little intimidated by the old, dense texts. Lessons in Stoicism by John Sellars is a beautifully clear and concise introduction to the whole philosophy. Sellars, a philosophy lecturer and a leading figure in the modern Stoicism movement, has a real talent for getting to the point. He strips away all the academic jargon and gets straight to the practical, usable heart of Stoicism. When I first picked this up, the first thing that struck me was just how short it is. At under 100 pages, it feels more like a handbook than a deep dive, but that's its genius. It doesn't try to be a complete history lesson. Instead, it focuses on the core, actionable ideas from the big three: Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius, and shows you exactly how their wisdom can help us today. Sellars writes with this welcoming clarity that makes big concepts, like the nature of emotion and control, feel immediately relatable. The book is built around essential Stoic questions. What do you really have control over? How should you deal with adversity? What does a good life look like? Sellars explains the Stoic idea of indifference, things like wealth, health, and reputation that aren't good or bad in themselves, in a way that just clicks for a modern reader. He frames Stoicism not as some grim philosophy of endurance, but as a path to self-empowerment through clear thinking. And that's why it's on this list. It's the perfect gateway. It's the book you give to a friend who has heard you talk about Stoicism and finally asks, "Okay, so where do I start?" It makes the philosophy accessible without demanding a huge time commitment, and proves that these aren't just dusty old ideas, but living tools for finding resilience and calm. It answers that first critical question of any journey: where does the path begin? What part of your life do you feel you have the least control over, yet it causes you the most stress? Number 6. Lives of the Stoics by Ryan Holiday, Stephen Hanselman. At number 6, we have a book that adds something absolutely crucial to the philosophy: context. Lives of the Stoics by Ryan Holiday and Stephen Hanselman. Sometimes, philosophy can feel like a bunch of abstract rules floating around in space. This book grounds it in the messy, complicated, and inspiring reality of actual human lives. Holiday and Hanselman, the guys behind The Daily Stoic, take a totally unique approach. Instead of focusing on the teachings, they focus on the teachers. The book is a collection of short biographies of 26 Stoics, from Zeno, the founder who started the school after losing everything in a shipwreck, all the way to the Roman Emperor, Marcus Aurelius. And that's what makes the storytelling so powerful. It's one thing to read a phrase like, "the obstacle is the way," But it's another thing entirely to see how someone like Cato the Younger lived and died by his principles while facing down a tyrant. As I was going through my reading challenge, this book was a lifeline. After reading a lot of abstract principles, I kept asking myself, but did anyone actually live this way? Lives of the Stoics answers that with a resounding, well, they tried. The authors are careful not to paint these figures as perfect saints. They show us Seneca, a brilliant advisor to the monstrous Emperor Nero, struggling to square his incredible wealth with his Stoic ideals. They show us Cicero, a man of huge intellect, whose ego constantly got in his own way. That honesty is what makes the book so valuable. It shows that Stoicism isn't about achieving perfection. It's about the struggle. It's about real people, with flaws and fears, trying their best to live up to those four virtues: courage, justice, temperance, and wisdom. By seeing the philosophy in action, both the successes and the failures, it becomes more human, more accessible, and way more motivating. This book earned its spot because it reminds us that Stoicism is a philosophy for doers. It was forged in the real world by merchants, soldiers, slaves, and emperors. It gives you the stories behind the ideas, making them stick in your head in a way that pure theory never could. It answers the question not just of what the Stoics believed, but who they were. Who is a figure in your own life, past or present, whose actions taught you more than their words? Number 5. How to be a Stoic, by Massimo Pigliucci. Coming in at number 5 is a book that builds a brilliant bridge between the ancient world and our modern, scientific one. How to be a Stoic, by Massimo Pigliucci, is a fantastic guide for anyone today who wants a philosophy that is both meaningful and rational. Pigliucci is in a unique spot to make this connection. He's a professor of philosophy who also has a PhD in evolutionary biology. He comes at Stoicism not as some dogma you have to accept, but as a framework for living that makes perfect sense with a scientific worldview. The book is set up as an imaginary conversation with Epictetus, one of the most powerful Stoic teachers. This format works incredibly well. It makes the ancient wisdom feel alive and dynamic. Pigliucci isn't afraid to tackle the parts of ancient Stoicism that might seem strange to us now, like their old ideas about physics or theology. Instead, he thoughtfully reinterprets the core principles in a way that feels relevant to 21st century life. What I found most powerful during my read-through was Pigliucci's focus on Stoicism as an active, engaged philosophy. He completely dismantles that stereotype of the Stoic as a cold, emotionless robot like Mr. Spock. Instead, he shows us that Stoicism is a call to social engagement, to act with virtue and treat others with dignity. It's not about crushing your emotions, but about understanding them and swapping out the unhealthy ones for rational, positive ones. He breaks it all down into 3 key areas of practice: the discipline of desire, accepting what you can't change; the discipline of action, acting for the good of everyone; and the discipline of assent, seeing things clearly without judgment. This gives you a clear roadmap. He ends the book with 12 practical exercises, like respond to insults with humor and choose your company well, which makes the philosophy something you can start doing immediately. How to be a Stoic earns its spot because it speaks directly to the modern skeptic. It shows that you don't have to believe in a divine, providential universe to get immense value from Stoic ethics. It offers a rational, science-friendly path to a calm and meaningful life. If you've ever thought philosophy was just useless, abstract talk, this book is the perfect counterargument. What is one practical exercise you could adopt this week to better manage your reactions to daily frustrations? Number 4. A Guide to the Good Life. The Ancient Art of Stoic Joy by William B. Irvine. At number 4, we have what I personally think is the single most practical, user-friendly guide to Stoicism for a modern audience, William B. Irvine's A Guide to the Good Life. This was one of the first books on modern Stoicism I ever read, and it completely changed my view of the philosophy from a historical topic to a living, breathing practice. Irvine's goal isn't academic. His goal, as he puts it, is resolutely practical. He digs through all the ancient texts and pulls out the specific psychological techniques we can use right now to feel more joy and tranquility. The core idea of the book is that every one of us needs a philosophy of life. Without one, we risk just drifting, chasing goals that ultimately leave us feeling empty. Irvine makes the case that Stoicism is the most powerful and time-tested philosophy available. He skips the technical jargon and focuses on what works. This book introduced me to two of the most powerful tools in the Stoic toolkit. The first is negative visualization. This means you regularly take a moment to vividly imagine losing the things you value most: your health, your job, even the people you love. It sounds dark, I know, but the effect is the exact opposite. By thinking about loss, you dramatically increase your gratitude for what you have right now. The second tool is the trichotomy of control. While the ancient Stoics talked about a dichotomy, what you control versus what you don't, Irvine adds a third category: things you have some control over. This simple tweak helps you focus your energy so much more effectively on your goals, instead of wasting it on things you can't influence at all. Irvine is also a big fan of practicing voluntary discomfort, choosing to be a little cold, a little hungry, or to go without some conveniences. This does two things. It builds your resilience for when real hardship comes along, and it resets your baseline for pleasure so you can find more joy in simple comforts. A Guide to the Good Life is on this list because, for so many people, this is the book that makes Stoicism finally click. It translates ancient wisdom into a step-by-step program for a better life. It's not just a book you read, it's a manual you actually use. It answers that all-important question: how can this philosophy actually make my life better? Soft CTA, we're about to get into the top 3, the ancient titans of Stoicism. This is where the journey gets really profound. Before we do, I'd love to know which of the modern books we've talked about so far is resonating with you the most. Let me know in the comments below. Number 3. Discourses and Enchiridion by Epictetus. So, we're in the top 3, and here we meet the most direct, most uncompromising, and most formidable of the great Stoic teachers, Epictetus. His Discourses and the shorter summary, the Enchiridion or Handbook, are not a gentle read. They are a bracing, ice-cold shower of radical personal responsibility. Reading Epictetus is like having a world-class coach who simply refuses to listen to your excuses. What makes his story so powerful is that he lived this philosophy under the worst circumstances imaginable. He was born a slave. His leg was deliberately broken by a cruel master. He understood suffering and powerlessness in a way most of us never will. And from that experience, he forged a philosophy of absolute inner freedom. His central message, repeated over and over, is the dichotomy of control. Some things are up to us, and some things are not. Our opinions, our choices, our desires, our aversions, those are ours. Our body, our property, our reputation, our job, those are not. This single idea, when you truly let it sink in, is life-altering. Epictetus teaches that our suffering doesn't come from events, but from our judgments about those events. As he famously said, "What upsets people is not things themselves, but their judgments about the things." That single insight is the foundation of modern cognitive behavioral therapy. The Discourses are basically informal lectures recorded by his student Irvine, while the Enchiridion is a pocket-sized summary of his core teachings. Together, they are a curriculum for someone who wants to be a philosopher, not as an academic, but as a person who actively practices a way of life. His tone is sharp, challenging, and relentlessly logical. He pushes you, again and again, to examine your first impressions and to focus only on what you can control, your own will. During my reading challenge, Epictetus was the one who shook me the most. There is zero room for self-pity in his work. When you find yourself complaining about a difficult boss or a traffic jam, you can almost hear his voice cutting through the noise. Is that within your control? If the answer is no, his command is to be ready to say, "It is nothing to me." It's a hard teaching, but it is incredibly liberating. Epictetus is essential because he is the purest expression of Stoic ethics. He gives you the unvarnished, high-octane fuel of the philosophy. He teaches you how to build an invincible inner citadel, a fortress of calm that no external event can ever touch. If you want to understand the bedrock of Stoic resilience, you have to grapple with Epictetus. What is one recurring negative judgment you make about an external event that you could practice letting go of? Number 2. Letters from a Stoic by Seneca. Our number 2 spot goes to the most eloquent, pragmatic, and worldly of the Stoics, Seneca the Younger. His Letters from a Stoic, a collection of 124 letters to his friend Lucilius, feel less like a philosophy lecture and more like a series of intimate chats with a wise and compassionate mentor. Seneca was a man who lived right in the heart of power and chaos. He was a playwright, a powerful politician, one of the richest men in Rome, and the advisor to the Emperor Nero, a job that ultimately led to him being forced to take his own life. He knew incredible success and devastating failure, immense wealth and mortal danger, and all of that experience breathes through his writing, making it profoundly practical. He isn't just theorizing about hardship, he's living it. The letters cover almost every human experience you can think of: friendship, grief, anger, aging, the shortness of time, and the search for wisdom. Unlike the stern logic of Epictetus, Seneca's style is warm and empathetic. He'll often start with something from daily life, a rough sea voyage, the noise from the public baths below his apartment, and use it as a launch pad for a deeper reflection on fear or tranquility. As I read his letters, I felt like I was getting advice from someone who truly understood human weakness. Seneca is honest about his own struggles. He doesn't pretend to be a perfect sage. He presents himself as a fellow traveler on the path to wisdom, and that makes his guidance feel so much more achievable. He famously wrote, "Life is long if you know how to use it," urging his friend, and us, to stop wasting time on things that don't matter and focus on cultivating a virtuous mind. One of his most powerful ideas is the importance of the inner self. He teaches that real happiness doesn't come from what you have, but from a rich inner life and a mind that can rely on its own resources. He also writes beautifully about friendship, arguing that a wise person doesn't need friends to be happy, but chooses to have them as a way to practice virtue and share life. Seneca's letters are number 2 because they are maybe the most relatable and actionable of all the ancient texts. They make Stoicism feel less like a rigid, demanding discipline and more like a humane art of living. They offer timeless wisdom on nearly every challenge we face, all delivered with the grace of a master writer. How could you better use your time, starting today, to align with what you truly value? Number 1. Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. And so we arrive at number 1. The book that, through this entire journey, revealed itself as the most profound, the most challenging, and the most life-altering work of Stoic philosophy. And it is, of course, Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. Now, I can hear you thinking, that's the big surprise. The most famous Stoic book of all time is number 1. How is that a surprise? And you're right. On the surface, it's the most predictable choice imaginable. But I promised that the number 1 book would change everything. And what I discovered, what truly shocked me, was not what this book is, but why it is so powerful. The secret to its incredible wisdom lies in one simple fact. It was never meant for you to read. This is not a book in the traditional sense. It's not a collection of letters written to advise a friend, like Seneca's. It's not a series of lectures designed to teach students, like those from Epictetus. Meditations is the private personal journal of the most powerful man on earth, writing notes to himself while on a military campaign, struggling every single day to be a good person. That is the secret. That is what changed everything for me. All the other books, in one way or another, are a kind of performance. They are teaching. Meditations is practice. We aren't reading the polished words of a philosopher telling us how to live. We are getting a raw, unfiltered look over the shoulder of a Roman emperor as he applies these principles to his own fear, his own frustration, his own mortality. We get to watch his internal struggle. He reminds himself, again and again, not to get distracted by court drama, not to get angry with ungrateful people, and to face the fact that he is going to die. He isn't lecturing us, he is lecturing himself. When you read it through that lens, the text completely transforms. The fact that some passages are repetitive is no longer a flaw. It's the mark of a man working tirelessly to drill these lessons into his own soul. We see him grappling with the same problems we all face, annoying people, feeling overwhelmed, wondering what our purpose is, but on a truly epic scale. He writes, "The whole earth is a mere point in space," not to sound deep for an audience, but to genuinely shrink his own anxieties down to a manageable size. This book is the ultimate answer to the question, yeah, but does this stuff actually work? The proof is right here. This is a man facing unimaginable pressure plagues, wars, betrayal, and turning to these mental exercises every single day to find humility, patience, and strength. He's trying to be a good person, not for fame or for his legacy, but for its own sake, in the privacy of his own mind. Meditations is number 1, not just because it's full of wisdom, but because it's the ultimate proof of the Stoic way of life. It's the embodiment of philosophy as a daily practice. It's the most authentic self-help book ever written, precisely because it was never intended to help anyone but its author. Reading it is a profound, intimate experience, a direct look into the mind of a great man trying, just like the rest of us, to be good. And that is why it stands alone at the top of this list. Conclusion. So, that's the final ranking. This whole journey started with a search for one perfect book, but it ended with a much bigger realization. Stoicism isn't found in a single book, but in the conversation between all of them. The modern writers make it accessible, the storytellers make it memorable, and the ancient masters give us that timeless, unshakable foundation. From the clarity of Sellars to the practicality of Irvine, from the stories in Lives of the Stoics to the rational bridge of Pigliucci, from the tough love of Epictetus to the compassionate guidance of Seneca, and finally, to the private struggles of Marcus Aurelius. Each one offers a different key to the same room, a room where we can find tranquility, resilience, and virtue. The real surprise wasn't the book at number 1. It was understanding that the goal isn't just to read these books, it's to live them. Thank you for joining me on this. Now, I really want to hear from you. What is your number 1 Stoic book, and why? Share your favorites and your own rankings in the comments below. I read every single one. And if you got some value from this video, please subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next exploration into philosophy. Until next time, be well.